So this is what the shed looks like. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So we are picking up from the last video that you watched, and that was us working on our little 5x3 utility slash pump house shed type structure thingy. And so we're picking right back up where that video ended, and that is with us preparing the paver base. So one thing about the shed is that it does not have a floor to it, so it's more something where you would need to set it on a concrete pad or on pavers or on something else. But we wanted to make sure that we had a nice solid base for it. Because we're putting our water pump and some other stuff in there, we want to keep it clean and make sure that nothing burrows in there. But we also wanted to make sure we had a nice strong base so that when we anchor it down, because we do get some crazy winds out here, and so anchoring it down was a major priority for us. So we figured that these pavers would be the perfect base for that, since we had them laying around. Now, if you guys have been with us for a long time now, sometime last year, you will remember when we actually went to go pick up these pavers. And so we ended up making 2 trips to go get them because a lady was ripping out some of them in her backyard because she wanted to have space to put in a hot tub, and so she just wanted them gone. So she had them listed for free on Facebook. And so as soon as I got off work, I called Elijah and was like, hey, this lady said we can come and get them, and then we went and got them. So funny enough, they've just been sitting on the property since then, and we had no idea what to do with them. Originally, we were going to do a planter bed out in front of the wall using the smaller ones, which we did do that, but now it's gone. We ripped them out because we needed them for this, but I felt like this was a lot better use for them, and it's so cute. Like, once you see it all come together, it will look nice, it will look clean, and it will be great. Ooh, that's actually a nice little base to walk on. Yeah, it's starting to get cold out here, dude. This is where we're at. These 3 are not leveled in yet. We just put them there so we can get our spacing. We do have to put some more pavers over here so we have somewhere for our propane tank to sit when we get our propane box. But we're going to finish this later. We're going to quickly put the shed on here so that we can get the corner screwed into the blocks, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so those 3 blocks that I was telling you about, you have to level them because the shed will sit right on those blocks. So we've just been leveling them out really quick so we can get that, and then we're going to go in and anchor the 4 corners, and then I think we might have some extra screws, so we're probably going to end up drilling some extra holes in there to anchor it to more blocks because our wind is crazy out here, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go inside. Kids are awake now, so I'm gonna start getting them ready for the day and get them ready for breakfast. Elijah is going to get this thing screwed into the pavers, and then we'll come back out later once everybody's situated, and then we'll finish that last 2 rows of pavers that we have to do that's in the dead center, and then today our focus will be to get the water pump in there, to get the water heater mounted, and basically get everything hooked back up to Terry so everything is usable. And then of course we still have to do the door. So the door right now we're not worried about since it's super windy, and so we don't know how the door opens and closes yet, but as far as it staying open, so it'll be good. And then up here, this thing is still covered in a bunch of plastic wrap. I think we're just gonna let the sun naturally want to peel it off, and then, you know, rather than having to, you know, try and peel all that off. So it does look like it's all scratched up, but it's just the tape. So yeah. Okay, so this is now after breakfast, so we're all nice, full, and fed. So we finished all the papers on the inside, and we felt like this little tiny section here was a little too small to step in and out on, so I ended up creating a step. So just, you know, another row of pavers, and so that made the world of a difference. And then we just took some of our extra dirt and we just swept it into the cracks as if it's paver sand, because we're not really, between the weight of these, our soil type and everything, we're not really worried about the pavers moving, shifting, or sinking. If they do, it's not the biggest, you know, catastrophe in the world, but we've decided to just fill all the cracks. And then so we did manage to get our water pump back in here. So just as a reminder, this is a water transfer pump and a pressurized tank all in one. And so Elijah went ahead and cut out the holes in the front and the back so that we can run our tubing through here. Right now we just have typical RV hoses, and then that green line is running into our external water heater, which is no longer our water heater anymore. You'll see that in a later video, but pretty much it's just a temporary setup until we are ready to start running our PEX lines so we can get our water lines all buried. And the plan is, once we get our PEX lines actually run everywhere where they need to run, then we'll go ahead and fill up those holes. I ended up forgetting my microphone inside of Terry, so at this point, I hope that you can hear me. It's not super windy outside, but I need to show you what the shed looks like because this is days later? Almost a week later since we finished building it, and I keep forgetting. So we ended up, it was so cold last weekend. Like, it was like ridiculously cold. And so once the sun went down, we had to hurry up and get the door built. And we were like, yeah, no. like we were frozen, and I wasn't bothering recording it because our hands were dying, and then we had like these little tiny screws that you had to screw in, so we were just gonna be like, whatever. So we did get the door finished. Elijah got all the holes drilled. I'm trying to remember what I showed you last, since it's been a whole week, but he got the holes drilled. I'm going to show you what it looks like really quick. Okay, so this is what the finalized shed looks like with the door on it and everything. And the pavers, I have to go through and sweep some more dirt in because the dirt has settled through it, so I'll have to patch those with a little bit more dirt. But yeah, the door has like a little locking mechanism on it. And then all of this is just that film that we are not peeling off. So we'll just let it, the sun peel it naturally. When summer comes, that will not be an issue. But it just opens and that's what it looks like. And then this week, goal is to get all of the holes around there sealed up, and then we'll get the holes at the top sealed up here so that nothing's nesting in here. This board here is what's holding our water heater on the outside. So that's our water pump, and so we'll be swapping out all these lines for PEX lines soon so that we can get the lines run underground. But yeah, we'll get all the holes foamed and insulated, sealed, and then our goal is, we found this perfect shelf online that is probably about this wide, and then it'll probably come out like this far, to hold our batteries, and then we'll probably mount like the solar charge controller and the inverter possibly here, and then put some type of boarding on the shelf and waterproof that, so that if this for some reason was to start spraying, it wouldn't affect the batteries, but the batteries will be high enough. So that is what the plan is. Of course, we'll have to get this insulated. But a fun fact is that I think I mentioned, I don't know if I actually showed you or not, but we have an outdoor water heater, and so it's made to go outside. And so the outdoor water heater, it's made to go outside. There was actually an issue in the weld, and so it's leaking everywhere. So anytime we use it, it's completely leaking. So luckily, we were able to get our full refund. We don't have to ship the unit back because for some reason they don't ship it back. I know Elijah looked it up and they said that they don't bother repairing it or anything. Like, it's basically an ear where it's broken at. You had to take the whole unit apart in order to weld it. So they gave us a full refund, luckily, because we were within 30 days of having it. And then also we got to keep the unit. So we're probably going to go store that somewhere, because eventually it would be nice to go ahead and break the whole thing open and see if we can get it welded and fixed up and patched. We just don't have a welding machine right now, and we don't have the time right now to do it. So I think my thought process, I had to run this by Elijah, but is to potentially use it in the garden in the future, because wouldn't that be nice to have just like nice warm water to like rinse off your feet and your hands like in the garden in the future. And it's made for outdoors, so I'm probably gonna talk him into letting me put it in the garden, because that would be nice to just have that attached to the greenhouse. But we do have another water heater on its way, so it should be here in a few days. Now he got a different one. He did not get one that's outside, an outdoor one. We are still going to keep a propane one. He wanted to get an electric one, but I told him no, because there's nothing wrong with an electric one. We had an electric one at our old place that we used to live at, and it was great because it's like on demand, it's all that kind of stuff, you don't have to worry about, it's just better. But out here, I really wanted a propane one, at least to run Terry off of, because I still, even though we're, connecting to the grid and all that kind of stuff, we still want to keep our costs as low as possible. So I was like, a propane one would be nice, because we don't use a lot of, even right now, we don't use a lot of hot water. We use hot waters to shower, and we do like quick showers because you don't need to be in there that long, and to do dishes. And that's pretty much all we use our hot water for. So our propane usage is like super low. So, I just figured that would be better to have a propane one, especially since we already have a propane one. So he ended up getting an indoor propane one. And so that one, he will need to drill a hole. I think he's planning on doing it in the side. I'll show you guys when he does it all, for it to vent out of. And then he was mentioning that it says that we should probably put a carbon monoxide alarm in there, since propane is going to be running through that unit and it's inside, which is fine. But yeah, so that's the plan for when that arrives. And then also some tweaks that we've been talking about. Once we finish this side of the fence, ignore my mess. I'm about to go over there and start working. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to skip over to this front side because I want to get the gate so that, you know, we need to get the gate up on that side. Then we're going to come over here and drop all the posts for the front and middle because I want to start working on my garden. And Elijah and I have talked about it. He's going to go and cut all that grass this weekend. Hopefully he can get to it this weekend. But Elijah and I were talking about it, and we were talking about my garden. And so originally I wanted my garden in the back right hand corner, but I kept going back and forth, and I'm like, what would I do with the space that is up front? Like, what do you do? Like, okay, so growing up at my house, we had a nice little front yard. It was a nice little tiny patch where, you know, you could take care of it, all that kind of stuff. Backyard was, you know, unruly and it was huge, but little tiny front yard patch. When you drive around town in like, you know, in like a city, you know, all the front yards are manicured, but they're manageable. And I'm pretty sure after our houses and stuff get built and after we get all the animals and stuff, we're going to have at least, I don't even know, maybe like 1,000 square feet of front yard space or maybe more that's not even used. And so, well, so by the time we get the house is built, the animals and everything that we want, and the sheds and all that kind of stuff, we're gonna have so much front yard space where I'm just like, what do you do with that? I'm not landscaping that whole front yard. I refuse to landscape a front yard, but I don't want it to just look like this and be overgrown and have to cut it and then it's just bare. So Elijah, I was like, what do you think about putting the garden in the front yard? And okay, so two reasons. One, wouldn't it just be beautiful to just like drive in through any one of our gates and just have all you see is this beautiful garden? Like, even if all my plants are dead in there, at least the planter beds would be pretty and you can see the effort. But it'll be nice because then we can put some fruit trees up there. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice to just drive up and you just drive up into a nice lush garden, and it will hold me to some accountability for my garden because when we have visitors come, I don't want them to drive up to a unruly, overgrown, horrible looking garden. Like, I want them to drive up to something nice, so it'll kind of hold me accountable and make me keep it nice and make everything actually grow. Um, so, but yeah, so that is what the plan is. And then, so as soon as we get the side done, which we're halfway through, we have the wood to be halfway through. The wood posts are not in the ground fully yet because it's taken a little bit of time between, you know, other projects and us building the thing and getting our hot water and all that kind of stuff. Slow progress is still progress. But I figured that that would make the most sense is to have the garden up there, and I think it'll be very pretty to have it up there. So once Elijah gets it cut down, I'll get everything measured out and figure out what would be a good size garden. I already have a layout of the garden beds that I want, how I want them to go. One thing is that we were trying to decide what type of garden beds that we wanted to go with. I refuse to do wooden because I'm not replacing them. I was looking at metal, but metal ones are kind of expensive, and I feel like a lot of the ones that I see are like almost ground level, and I'm sorry, I'm not old. I'm not old, but I don't want to have to get down there. If I have to get down there every single time just to do something in a bed, I'm not going to do it. So I really, really want standing height garden beds. And so Elijah and I were thinking, and I was doing research, and we decided on concrete garden beds and just like to completely finish them out. And it would look nice since we're doing the wood up there to have the concrete to kind of tie the concrete back into our sides and like, you know, both corners of the front wall. So that was the idea behind there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I think end this video here. I will see you in the next one, and bye.